On the day of SIL's wedding, she has a full-blown breakdown accusing me of having an affair with her groom because my baby looks too much like him, even though it's just because him and I share the same ethnicity, and calls off the wedding until I do a DNA test. So, 2 weeks ago, I gave birth to my first baby, my son. My husband and I have been together for the past 6 years and have been married for 2 years now. So, we've known each other's families for a pretty long time, and I've known his sister Riley for quite some time. She and I don't really have a very close relationship, but we are civil with each other. So everything that's happened recently, it's really come as a shock to all of us. 2 weeks back when my son was born, both of our families visited and were there for us during labor and delivery and stuff. So even back then, everything was pretty normal. It's just that a couple of days ago, we invited his family over for dinner, and it was on that day that things went really bad. We were having a good time in the beginning, but then all of a sudden, Riley started acting very differently. She went out of the room to take a breather for a couple of minutes, but she didn't return. Her fiancé, Roman, went after her. And then a few minutes later, we heard voices shouting and we tried to ignore it, but then Roman and Riley came to the living room and Roman just walked out after saying that he couldn't deal with this crap. And it was evident that he was very upset about something. And even Riley was crying. And after he stormed off, we asked her what was going on. And then she just turned around and started accusing me of ruining her life and screwing everything up for her. She called me selfish and she called me a cheater. And none of that made any sense because I had no idea what she was going on about. So, my husband had to get her to calm down for a bit because she was being totally hysterical. And then the truth came out. Apparently, for some reason, I don't know why, she had gotten it into her head that I had had an affair with Roman and the baby was his because he looked too much like him. And let me just tell you people, that's a load of BS. And I think it's kind of racist as well. It's just that Roman and I both happen to be Latin. And of course, there's going to be some sort of resemblance because we are the same ethnicity. And my son is also half Latin. That is it. There's nothing more to it. And I do not think that my son looks anything like Roman apart from maybe the color of his skin. And even that's not very similar. So, it was a huge accusation to make without anything to back it up. And I was furious that she would say something like this. I was about to pick a fight with her over this, but my husband stopped me because he felt like something was wrong with her at that point in time. And he told me that talking to her and trying to reason with her right then was going to be pointless. So when she was throwing a tantrum in my living room that day, it was only her family who was talking to her, but I didn't say anything because I knew that there was no point given the way she was behaving. I left my husband and his parents with her and she just kept screaming and I left the room with my baby and until they left, I didn't come out. Once she was gone, my husband came to me and he told me that apparently Riley wants us to get a paternity test to prove that my son has nothing to do with Roman because otherwise she's not going to go ahead with the wedding. And she's going to call it all off. And apparently that's exactly what she had said to Roman. And that's what they had been fighting about before. And that was why he stormed off. And after hearing what the fight was about, I do not blame him one bit for storming off because it was extremely insulting. Not just for him, but also for me. My husband told me that there was no need for me to go through with any of this. I did not need to get a paternity test just to prove something to Riley because it was very clear that she was going through something, and I do not need to bother myself with this because it's obviously not my fault. But I told him that I was going to get that test and I was going to send her the results and I was going to make sure that she knew how wrong she was. To be honest, that day I felt really humiliated and I was not going to let go. I did not care that she was going through something or whatever. I hated the insinuation that I had had something to do with Roman and that the baby was not mine and that I had been cheating on my husband. It was all completely baseless. She was just being insecure about whatever and I couldn't handle it. So, I decided to go through with the paternity test and yesterday the results came back and obviously it was proven the baby is my husband's. He and I sent a copy of the results to both her and Roman. And Roman obviously did not respond, but she did. She contacted us, at least tried to. She started calling us and texting us, and we did not respond because by then I had realized that I did not want to talk to her. And because I didn't want to talk to her, my husband did not want to have anything to do with her either. We had also spoken to my in-laws about all of this and they had said that right now she probably just needs to be left alone because there is definitely something going on with her. So we were taking their advice. We were not talking to her and she tried to keep calling us and texting us, but we did not get back to her and she took it upon herself to come and show up at our house at 11 at night. She started ringing the bell like crazy and she was screaming hysterically right outside the door. So, it was quite alarming. We did not want her to embarrass us in front of the neighbors and stuff, especially since it was pretty late at night. So, I decided to open the door and let her in so at least we could talk inside the house and everything wouldn't be out in public. And then we had to get her to calm down because the baby was sleeping and we did not want him to be woken up. Anyway, eventually she did calm down a little bit and she lowered her voice, but even then she was quite hysterical and she was begging us to talk to Roman and do something about it, and she was claiming that she was mentally unwell a couple of days ago and apparently she's been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, which is very sad for her, but I don't know what we can possibly do in this situation. Apparently, after she received the results from us, she decided to reach out to Roman and she tried to talk to him and ask for forgiveness because for the past couple of days after the fight at our house, they had not been on speaking terms. After he stormed off, he probably went back to their apartment because by the time Riley got home, some of his things were gone and he was nowhere to be found. But she did not try to contact him then. She was still pretty upset with him, though she regretted her own behavior, too. But anyway, for the few days after their fight, they had absolutely no contact, and she did not make any effort to contact him either. However, now that she knows that she was wrong, she wants to get back with him, but he's unreachable and she thinks that she has been blocked by him, which she probably has. And now she wants our help to get back with him. But I'm pretty sure that he's not interested because if I were in Roman's place, I wouldn't be either. Last night, it was pretty difficult to get her to calm down and leave after one point. And I did feel kind of bad for her because she revealed that she had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and things like that. But ultimately, that's really not our fault. That can be an explanation and it cannot be an excuse for her behavior because it was really horrible for all of us. And I really don't think that we owe her any sort of help. She brought this on herself and she should deal with it on her own. But I still feel kind of bad for not helping her out. That's just because of her mental condition, nothing else. So Ida for not wanting to help out my sister-in-law get back with her fiancé? Update 1. Hey everyone. So, it's been 2 weeks since my last update and a lot of things have happened after that. But first of all, thank you to everyone who commented on my post and was very supportive of me. Thank you so much for all of that. Anyway, now moving on to what happened. Things with Riley are not going well right now. It's like she's on one side and the rest of the family is on the other. And honestly, she doesn't have anybody else to blame for it other than herself. After she visited the other night, screaming and crying hysterically, trying to get us to help her out and get back in touch with Roman, we did not get back in touch with her anymore because honestly, we had nothing to say to her. I read the responses to my post and I knew that this was not really my fault. And I do feel bad for her mental condition or whatever, but that's really not my responsibility. And like I said, it's an explanation. It's not an excuse. My husband and I spoke about it and we agreed that right now it would be best to leave the situation alone and let her deal with it the way she wants to. We also discussed it with his parents and they had the same opinion because this is between her and Roman. I don't understand why she even came to us because it's not like we have a very close relationship with him either. He's her fiancé. That's the only relationship that we have. And if he's not willing to talk to her, then that's really not something that we can control. So even if we wanted to, I don't think there would be anything that we could do to help her out. And the only reason we did not get into all of the drama and create a much bigger issue out of it was because of her mental condition. That's it. It came out in a very bad way and she should have told us about it before, but she didn't. And that was her personal choice, which we respect. But it's our choice not to get involved. So, she should have respected that and that she did not do. She gave us a couple of days. She kept trying to contact all of us. But when she did not get a response out of any of us, she went out of her way to create drama out of this. And that is something I don't think any of us wanted. It was not just against me and my husband, which would have at least been understandable. But she dragged her parents into it for no reason as well, even though they hadn't even said or done anything. She decided to go ahead and post about this on Facebook. And I really have no idea what she was hoping to achieve with any of this. It's not like people are going to suddenly start sympathizing with her just because of her diagnosis, because at the end of the day, the things that she said and what she did were really problematic and it was wrong. And that's the funniest part, because if she really wanted people to sympathize with her, then she should have just posted about her diagnosis and left out the bits where she was the problem. But for some reason, she decided to be completely and totally honest in her post, which somewhere I do appreciate, but then that screwed things up for her because she posted about what happened and she was very open about it. She posted everything honestly, and now people are obviously against her and they're asking her to apologize to all of us instead of posting stuff like this and turning us even more against her, because everyone is very clear on one thing, that this is not our fault. Everyone in the family has had the same thing to say, that we are not to be blamed for this. And regardless of whether she has bipolar disorder or whatever, she cannot put all of this on us. Her behavior was completely out of line. And Roman was completely right in his decision to leave because of the things that she said. It was just uncalled for. And it's a wonder that we even entertained her later on, and that we went out of our way to get the paternity test done and sent the results to her and stuff, and that was more than what we should have done, because something like this does not even need to be entertained since it's so insulting and humiliating. Now on top of all of that, she has decided to go public with it, and it's hurting nobody else but herself. So, this is what most people have had to say. But even then, she's not taken down the post, but she has turned off the comments and we have been blocked. So, obviously, we have no idea what exactly is going on. But there are relatives of ours who still have been sending us screenshots and stuff. And everybody in the comments was with us until she turned them off. We have not had anything to say about this because I don't think there's anything that we can say. She's convinced that we are at fault here somehow, and she's not willing to see her own problems. I can understand that her mental condition is probably making all of this worse. But I really just cannot excuse that and let it go. Now, it's been more than a week and she still has not taken that post down, even though almost everybody in the family has had a negative reaction towards it. I don't know what's going on in her mind. And honestly, I feel like she's just messing everything up for herself even more. If she just lets us, we can help her out here. But she's not interested in doing that. She just wants to make other people look like the villains and herself look like the victim. So be it. And as for Roman, we've not heard from him, but we have heard from his family. His parents reached out to his in-laws, and they told him that the wedding was off now, obviously, because whatever was said, it was just not required. And Roman is really hurt. He really loved Riley, and he would have really loved to marry her, but she kept secrets from him, including the diagnosis. And apparently, they had been having problems for the past couple of months. Anyway, so of course the diagnosis is an explanation for all of that, but he just doesn't understand why she didn't tell anyone about it. I can understand there is a certain level of stigma and shame associated with mental conditions, but that doesn't mean that you don't even talk to anybody else about it. It just makes everything worse. And she's an educated woman. She's progressive, and so are all of us. So, she could have easily talked to all of us about it, and we would have done our very best to help her however we could. But now it's like she doesn't want to help. She just wants to play the blame game. And I don't know how to deal with that, nor does anyone else. So, I think it's completely fair for Roman to opt out of this relationship, especially since it's very clear that things are not the same as they used to be. So, of course, when Roman's parents reached out to my in-laws, they apologized for Riley's behavior. They even tried to get them to talk, and they wanted to get Roman and Riley to sort things out so at least the relationship would not end on such a bad note, but he was just not willing to speak to her at all. And I can totally understand why. So, that was a couple of days back. And since we are not in touch with Riley at all, we couldn't even tell her about any of this. Overall, this is all just really sad. And I wish she could see how she's messing everything up for herself and let people in so that we could help her. We are not the enemy here. And she needs to realize that. She needs to apologize to all of us for her behavior, because there was just no need for her to go public with any of this. I mean, honestly, it's a good thing that people are on our side, but even then, it's very embarrassing. Anyway, whatever the case is, I know for a fact that unless she comes and apologizes to me, I have nothing to say to her. The most that I can do for her is just give her my sympathy. Other than that, I don't think I can do anything for her. And most importantly, I'm pretty busy right now as well. I had a baby just a couple of weeks ago, so it's not even about just this. I'm pretty emotionally and physically exhausted in the first place anyway, and she's just made everything much worse for me. I don't want to talk to her. I know that my husband doesn't want to talk to her either. And I know that even her parents right now are not very happy with her. So, right now, she's completely on her own. And I think the only person who can get her out of this mess is herself. So, if she decides that she's going to try and repair her relationship with all of us, then good for her. And if not, then I'm not going to try. She has already thrown everything out the window with her fiancé. I don't know what she's intending to do with the family, but whatever it is, the last 2 weeks have been pretty intense for us, and I'm hoping that with time it gets a bit better. Anyway, thank you so much for allowing me to rant here and also for all the support that I've received in the comments. It's very sweet of you guys. So, really, thanks a lot. Update 2. Hi. So, 1 week has passed since my last update, and I've tried my best not to think about any of this, and it's been good because honestly, there was no point in mulling over it. She has made her own choices, and she is an adult woman. She can deal with it on her own. My husband and I have stayed away from this whole mess, and it's been good for both of us. Last night, we even had his parents over for dinner along with mine. And this family dinner went much better than the last one, that's for sure. We had a lot of fun, and my mom posted some photos on Facebook. Somehow Riley saw that because I guess my mom did not block anybody and she shouldn't have had to since she's not involved in any of this. But anyway, Riley saw those photos and she was furious about them. She did not confront us, but she did go over to her parents' place this morning. And by morning, I literally mean like 7 or 8 in the morning. And I don't know why anybody would wake up that early just to create drama and have some sort of confrontation. But whatever, she did do this. And my in-laws told us that she was frothing at the mouth about all of this. She was acting just the way she did the other night. She showed up at their house and started banging on the door like crazy, started screaming and crying hysterically, saying that they were alienating her for no reason, and they were making life difficult for her, and they were responsible for her mental illness somehow now. And at that point in time in the morning, obviously it was not feasible to let her keep doing that outside their house because it was inconvenient. Not just for them, but also for the neighborhood. So my in-laws decided to open the door, let her in, and just like what we tried, they tried to calm her down, but she was hysterical, and she just kept screaming at them, accusing them of everything that went wrong in her life for some reason. And it was really unfair because from what I know, my in-laws are really not the kind of parents who should be held responsible for any of this. They have tried their very best to raise both their kids to be good people. And let's be real, Riley is in her late 20s right now. I think she's way beyond that stage where she can blame her parents for everything. Sometimes people have to take accountability for their own mistakes as well. And whatever happened recently, it was all her own fault. There is no two ways about it. She did this to herself and she cannot blame her parents for all of it. Not even about the situation with Roman. Especially not about that. I think that particular situation she literally created for herself. There was no reason for her to suspect anything going on between me and Roman. We have hardly ever interacted apart from when it's in her presence. So there was literally no reason for her to say that, but she did. And now somehow it's my fault. It's his fault. It's her parents' fault. It's everybody else's fault but her own. I'm sorry, but that's not how it works. She cannot behave like this and use her condition as an excuse for everything because that's really wrong. Even her parents tried their best to explain things to her in a nice polite way when she came over, but she was not ready to listen to them either. She's just bent on pushing this one narrative that she isn't the villain and that's it. Nobody else can speak against her and that's her only agenda. I don't understand why she's acting like this. I don't know what's going wrong with her and I just don't know what she's going to do about any of this. She's stressing everyone out right now and she's not even realizing how badly she's screwing things up for herself. And by the time she does come to the realization, it's going to be too late for her. I can say that for sure even right now. Also, this time because she had come to them, my in-laws ended up telling her about the conversation that they had had with Roman's parents where they decided to end the engagement on his behalf. I guess it was a bad decision because after that she pretty much just blew up at them. She went ballistic. She started throwing things around because they had not told her before, even though my in-laws tried to tell her that they had attempted to reach out to her, but she had blocked all of them and they didn't know how else to get to her. They had considered turning up at her apartment to talk to her, but they decided against it because she was obviously not willing to speak to them. But she did not care. She was just bent on making this their fault. As if they had come to her and spoken to her about it, then the engagement issue would have been solved. That was her engagement. She should have done something about it. She was the one who screwed things up for both of them. I mean, she's the one who should have reached out to Roman somehow and tried to stop all of this from happening, but she didn't. She did whatever she wanted to, and now she's just going around blaming everyone else. I don't know what's going on in her head. I just don't get it. But this is seriously getting weird now. She's getting up to all sorts of crap, and I don't understand how she expects the family to put up with all of this. My in-laws told me that she threw things around, broke a lot of stuff, and created havoc in their lives in the morning, and then left after cursing all of them out. What was their fault? I don't even know. Roman had already pretty much broken off the engagement by then. His parents had just communicated to her parents formally. That was it. It does not make anybody else responsible for what happened. But anyway, she has decided that she's going to behave like this and she thinks it's all right just because of her diagnosis right now. So whatever. She has lost us, that's for sure. I don't care about her diagnosis. She has insulted me. She has still not taken the post down and I'm done. I think the insinuation in the beginning that I had had something to do with Roman and that my child was not my husband's, that should have been the last straw for me. I think I should have put an end to my relationship with her right then. But even after that, I entertained her and that was my mistake. I thought that we could solve everything. But obviously, she's not interested in doing any of that. So then so be it. She can go ahead and do whatever she wants to now. She's lost her fiancé and now she's going to lose the support of our family as well. So, good for her then. Update 3. So, it's been a month since my last update and things have not changed that much. But nobody in the family is willing to speak to Riley anymore. She was supposed to get married next week, but obviously that's not happening anymore. And she's stopped trying to reach out to anybody as well. She has deactivated all her socials and from what I know she has left her apartment, moved out and has even changed cities, but nobody has any contact with her anymore. I hope she does well in life. I hope that she gets better soon, but I hope that I don't have anything to do with her in future. As for me and my little family, we have been doing pretty well. My son is happy and healthy and my husband and I are doing well, and my in-laws obviously miss Riley sometimes, but they have made their peace with the situation because honestly they tried their very best and it did not pay off. She had decided she did not want anything to do with them and she put that into action. So there was really not much that they could have done for her. Of course, all of us hope that at some point in time we will be able to sort all of this out. But until then, we can only hope for the best. I don't have any sort of animosity towards her or whatever. Not anymore. But I don't think I'll ever be able to go back to normal with her either. And that's completely fine. We don't all have to get along all the time, especially with those people who have hurt us.